Hey, are you working in market reports to your communications with buyers and sellers? I think it's important to be sure that we are disputing the headlines and showing people what's actually happening nationally and in our individual markets. So we do market reports that go out to our database on a regular basis. We're working on putting those together and systemizing it so it's a little more consistent. And then when we do our Facebook Lives, we often throw in a little report about the market just because all of the news tends to be, kind of hair on fire stuff and inaccurate most of the time. So I just put a listing on the market and we have, I think, about 30 showings at this point. Went on the market yesterday. And we've got a couple of offers in and many more coming. This is certainly not the buyer's market that people were talking about a couple of weeks ago. We never saw really much of a buyer's market in most of the areas we serve. I do have a Chicago listing that seems to be in a hole of inactivity. There's a couple of things that have gone under contract in that price point in that area, but it's sitting along with many other similar properties. And I think our job is really to, as much as possible, put that in perspective so buyers and sellers both understand what's going on. And I think that is a function, that particular listing and its inactivity is mostly a function of a price point that was really sensitive to the interest rate changes and a group of buyers who are sitting kind of waiting for something to happen that I don't think is going to happen. So I think we want to show them as much as possible why we don't think that the worst is going to happen, at least as far as sellers are concerned. And here's one of the charts that I used to tell this story. So this is existing home sales in the thousands, month by month, for the last 3 years. And you can see the dark blue bar, which is 2022, significantly lower than the previous 2 years. So the only time we saw 2020 dip below 2022 was in the pandemic months when everything shut down. Well, I guess it started out the year a little bit ahead, and then this was pandemic time. So 2021 was a pretty typical arc that we would expect to see. And then 2022 has just been this low number for a long time. Well, some of that is due a little bit to buyer demand slowdown at the end of last year, but it's also very much due to constricting inventory. And if we look at how many houses were on the market for sale in November, we can see that the number of houses for sale is falling. So even though there were fewer houses sold, the number of houses for sale wasn't increasing, which just shows that we started with extremely low inventory and then a few of those sold, and that's it. So you can have a few sales because there is no buyer demand, and so there could be a lot of houses for sale and they're not selling. Or you can have the opposite problem, which is what I'm reading, which is we just don't have enough houses for sale. Buyers might be tired. They might be exhausted by having put in many offers last spring. And so we've really got to work on freeing up that gridlock and getting people moving, because there's just, we're heading into it again. And then you see the huge difference here between the inventory in January and November. Now, sometimes you would say seasonality and cold weather climates have something to do with that, but you can see from these two maps that there is very little division along the temperature line. We see additional falling inventory in the in most states, but it's not really clearly related to weather, which it sometimes is. So make sure you're looking at what's going on in the market and keeping your buyers and sellers aware of what's really happening behind the scenes so that they can make good decisions. And let's get those sellers listing houses.